Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Palantir just landed a huge expansion with a current US government customer, and I'll show you their complete history actually to show you why this is such a big deal and my thoughts on all of this. So first, the news they landed a $463 million multi-year contract with US Special Operations Command. And the multi-year is not defined, but I'll talk about that later on why this could be really huge. This is to ensure they maintain their competitive advantage in going through petabytes of data in order to make decisions. And essentially that means there's so much data here that no human can actually do that. But what I think is most important is that they are advancing their defense portfolio with Palantir because they want to leverage artificial intelligence specifically. In the press release, you see they want to use large language models and edge processing and edge AI to get as close to as real-time information as they can for their warfighters. Overall, this news is great, and it's huge growth for the company itself with their relationship with US SOCOM. And this is all taking place after AIPCon, so I'm not saying because of that event this contract is coming here. We know when working with the US government, it's quite bureaucratic, and this was probably a long time coming, but we do know they have an existing relationship with them before, so of course that might help in the process and speed things up, considering that AIP, at least to the commercial side, was officially announced in April. So we don't know if on the backside that they were actually talking to the government about their artificial intelligence and the platform possibly, but we know that they're going to work closely with the US government and give them the best product possible in order to defend the country and of course our allies. But we don't know that for sure. So yeah, if we look at the total contract history actually though with Palantir and US SOCOM, Palantir has been getting lots of money from this department ever since 2009. So that's a long time ago. I mean, that's 14 years. I was definitely doing nothing like this back then. So it's been a lifelong customer for Palantir. And what I like about the graphic I actually created is how lumpy this is. And it actually shows how much more lumpier it was because in 2019, there wasn't even any recorded data, but I'll go into why that is also. So we can see from 2009 to 2012 at first, they were stuck in that range of under $2 million and even as low as $500,000 in 2011. From what we can tell here, this is Palantir's strategy though, right? They want to give the customer the chance to see the value, so they're going to let them use the product with Palantir and make them kind of need it and require it and kind of have them dependent on it because, once you've used Palantir, it looks like you can't really get off of it or at least try to find something that works just as well, especially on the US government side. But what we saw was a huge growth rate then from 2013 to 2015. So in the middle single digits now in the millions and eventually hitting the big bucks now from 2016 to 2022. Now, you'll notice in 2019, it doesn't have any dollars, but that can actually be easily explained by their payment system here, showing us probably that this was paid late in 2018 on December 7. So it's probably paid ahead of time, so hence why we see now in 2019 data. But either way, if this doesn't explain how lumpy the government is and this graphic shows it easily, is then I don't know what else to show you. Essentially, we saw small single-digit millions to multi-10 millions per year, and now with the 460 million multi-year, if that's over only 4 years per se, we've just crossed over the $100 million per year mark with this department. So that's a huge growth rate. But if you're an investor watching over the short term, you're not going to see that looking at it year over year. Now, say that this is still a larger contract over 5 years, it's still going to be the high tens of millions of dollars per year. Either way, we see that this is a huge growth rate for Palantir, but you can only see it if you look at this long time horizon. Now, my overall thoughts is that this is a demonstration on why Palantir is so important to the government, and I guess you could say it's the other way as well. This is basically a lifelong relationship where both sides, of course, need each other. Palantir continues to show their value by expanding their strong relationship. They continue to expand their services, and now with this latest AI contract, it's grown from single digits to hundreds of millions of dollars now probably per year. Now think about this 10 years down the line. I wouldn't think it'd be hard to imagine this becoming billions per year, or at least a high hundreds of million dollars per year. But that's just my speculation and does require execution from the company, but we can see the possibility of this happening. Especially with the US Army, I believe they had a huge contract in the hundreds of millions of dollars just for a single year. So if we can scale to that for US SOCOM, and this is a consistent contract over multiple years, then this is really great for Palantir to have that kind of income coming in on a consistent basis. Now, I still expect the government growth over a long period of time. Like I said, we have to always look further out into multi-years, concerning, Looking at the U.S. debt ceiling talks, we know they revealed defense is not going to be up for cuts. And at least in comparison to other departments, we know that they're going to freeze those. So I wouldn't expect any administration now, unless we had some huge shakeup here, changing that. And with the acceleration of geopolitical events from Russia and China specifically, I believe at least for this coming decade, there doesn't make sense for any government spending to cut. I could see freezes at least, but to cut defense. So that's going to be in the favor of Palantir. Now, international government-wise, I'd like to see an acceleration here as NATO expands, but it is a tougher market for them to adopt newer technologies. But as long as we see general growth and adoption and possibly just planting the seeds there in that market with their Western allies and NATO allies, it's not a stretch to think Palantir can at least take a part of that, even if it's very small. I'd rather have them sow the seeds because we know that over time, just like this relationship with US SOCOM, they can grow a contract that's only for $1 million per year. And eventually down the line, if you're patient and you continue to execute and expand your services, you can reach that $100 million per year. And we're talking for governments around the world. I know they don't spend as much as the US, but it's not a stretch to see that with any large governments that are our allies. But either way, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on all of this below, and I'll see you in the next video.